We've all had the chance to digest a little bit of Microsoft's Megaton from the other day, where they are closing down multiple studios, canceling multiple games, really just a full-on shit show from Microsoft. But what else is new at this particular point where that's what we can expect from them? Microsoft literally shoots themselves in the foot with every turn. And if you're an Xbox developer, how do you feel right now? Right? Like, I'm just curious, like, how do you feel in general? You've got to be looking over your shoulder, and I mentioned this a little bit the other day in a video. If you're Ninja Theory right now, you've got to be crapping your boots, right? Like, you probably maybe should already start looking for another job. I hate to say this, but Hellblade 2 isn't a game that's going to be bought by a lot of people. You know, it's a game that literally is niche by the type of game it is, okay? Like, there's not going to be millions of people that buy that game. And here's what Ninja Theory has done since Microsoft bought them. So Microsoft bought them. They've owned them for what, 5, almost 6 years. They built a brand new state-of-the-art studio. They've hired over 100 people. They released Bleeding Edge, which completely flopped and is dead. And it took them 6 years to make Hellblade 2. It's a digital-only game, no multiplayer. It's a niche type of game. Their head of their studio left. Yeah, they're not marketing this game at all. So what exactly is going to happen, right? I think they're going to release this game. They might stick around long enough to port it to PlayStation, because you know that that's going to happen sooner rather than later. And, you know, it's really unfortunate when this stuff does happen, but I do want to say, you know, I'm not hoping for that. I hope that, you know, it's going good. But after the big layoff and everything like that, the boss of Arcane Lion, who is a Microsoft employee, really spoke out, calling it an effing gut stab, criticized Microsoft for studio closures, right? So imagine this, right? This guy still works for Microsoft through Arcane Lion, which is the France division of Arcane. They're the ones that did Deathloop, by the way, and that are working on the Blade game. Now, this is like something you would never really say, but Arcane Lion boss, his last name is Bakaba, has publicly criticized Microsoft executives for their decision to close several studios. This past week, Xbox maker told staff at 4 studios, including Redfall maker Arcane Austin, that they are planned for closure. Game boss Matt Booty claimed that some staff would be moved to other teams and would be laid off. Bakaba, the creative director and critically acclaimed Deathloop and currently working on Blade, responded to the news on Twitter with an unusually frank and critical message that we're you know, used to seeing from somebody running first-party studios. He said, and I quote, "This is absolutely terrible. Permission to be human. To any executive reading this, friendly reminder that video games are an entertainment cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you. Don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as strawmen for miscalculations, blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinian jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Make us proud when times are tough. We know you can. We've seen it before. For now, great teams are sunsetting before our eyes again, and it's an effing gut punch. Lion is safe, but please be tactful and discerning about all of this and respect affected folks. Voice and leave it room to be heard. It's their story to tell, their feelings to express. Arcane Austin is planned to close, obviously, alongside Hi-Fi Rush Studio Tango Gameworks, Elder Scrolls Online co-developer Roundhouse, and Mighty Doom developer Alpha Dog. The Austin team, of course, was initially set up in 2006, worked on the first Dishonored alongside other Arcane teams before developing the 2017 version of Prey on its own. Most recently, the studio was responsible for Redfall, which was released in 2023 to technical issues and underwhelming critical reception. It's got a Metacritic score of 56. I feel like, again, part of that was they were set up to fail by Microsoft, because it got announced that that game was only going to be 30 frames instead of 60 frames, and everybody was going off about it. Everybody was going off about it because it was literally, you know, launching the next week, and that's something that you should probably tell people about well in advance. Well in advance. So, you know, again, you have this situation where there is bad timing, and, you know, now, listen, everybody hates Xbox again. Right, this is maybe as bad as 2013 with Xbox One. I can see that, you know, and I can totally sympathize with that aspect as well. You know, it's terrible that this kind of stuff happens. So the closure means that the planned Hero Pass DLC for the game, which had remained in development despite the game's bad launch, has now been canceled, with all development of the game now ended. Players who had previously pre-ordered the game and were expected to get the Hero Pass as part of their order will now be getting, quote, make good offers instead, according to Xbox. The news of the studio closure follows confirmation earlier this year that 1,900 would be laid off across Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox. And according to douchebag Phil Spencer, he said the decision had been made after Microsoft and Activision's leadership teams set priorities, identified areas of overlap, ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth. So basically a bunch of bullshit, you know. But I'm glad that this guy is speaking his mind on this, right? Like, how can you not? And like I mentioned Ninja Theory earlier, but is it just Ninja Theory? I mean, look, Tango Gameworks, all their games basically had been multi-plat lately, and supposedly Hi-Fi Rush was a hit according to Microsoft and their metrics. They said so, 100%. They said that by our metrics, it's a hit, it's a smash hit, blah blah blah. They even put it on PlayStation, you know what I mean? And then they still close them down. Here's the thing, Obsidian, same thing. All their games that they made under the Microsoft banner have been ported to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. And so what does that tell you? That you know, people aren't that people aren't buying the games, like, but Microsoft tells us that we don't have to buy the games to play them on Game Pass. So I mean, what can we really do as fans? We don't really know what their metric is because they don't really tell us. You know, so nobody really knows what to do, but it continues to get worse and worse for Xbox. You know what I mean? So again, Obsidian's releasing Avowed. That seemed like it gets lukewarm reception, to be honest with you. Hellblade 2, like, I think Starfield sort of got saved by PC, but I don't think that stuff like Indiana Jones or Hellblade 2, which Hellblade 2 is not even in the top 20 on Steam wish list or anything like that. So I don't think that's going to do particularly well on Steam. I don't think Avowed is going to do particularly well on Steam. I don't think Indiana Jones is either. So that really puts Machine Games, Ninja Theory, as well as, you know, Obsidian in a bad spot. What do you guys think, though? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Crep Gamer out.